Hello everybody, and welcome to my channel, and I'm here to review the April 1989 issue of the WWF magazine with Miss Elizabeth on the cover. So let's get to reviewing. Ad for the Hulk Hogan game. Was it WrestleMania? Yeah, I actually had that for Nintendo. Yeah, I played that thing to death. Table of contents, of course. WWF home video on Hacksaw Jim Duggan. The best of WWF Volume 18, and the brains behind the brawn. Around the ring, they're talking about all the things that's leading up to WrestleMania 5 that's coming up. Ad for BK Knights, the British Knight shoes. I remember those commercials, BKs. Fan forum, fans write letters to the magazines. Body language. Jesse the Body telling it like it is, and he just talks about how Bobby Heenan, how Red Rooster turned on Bobby Heenan, then Bobby Heenan brought in the Brooklyn Brawler to beat up the Red Rooster. So, man, Red Rooster, what a gimmick. That ruined that guy's career. Terry Taylor was such a great wrestler, and that character totally ruined his gimmick. He was never the same after that, in my opinion. Newsbreakers. Ted DiBiase buys the $1 million belt. He creates the $1 million belt, then buys it. I remember there was a lot of hype about what that belt looked like. I actually did not like the design of that belt. I thought it was kind of ugly. I was a fan of the belt. Personality profile on Rugged Ronnie Garvin. It's kind of strange that the WWF even signed him, because he just, he just worked in the NWA. Him and WWF just didn't seem right. Even in the AWA, because AWA needed all the talent, so it made sense for him to go there, but, it made sense for AWA to sign him, but just weird that the WWF signed him. And it wasn't like they took him from Crockett, because he had already left Crockett, so signing Ronnie Garvin was weird. But I know he did have a couple of good. The match with Greg Valentine was really good, but that's probably about his only memorable thing he did in the WWF. Interview with Brutus the Barber Beefcake. The page just ripped out of it a little bit. Well, part is ripped out, cut out, I should say. Brutus Beefcake, he's talking about his upcoming match with Ted DiBiase at WrestleMania, and why he likes to cut people's hair. Battle of the Titans, they show highlights from the very first Royal Rumble on pay-per-view. Of course, the number one and number two was Axe and Smash, so seeing those two fight was like, oh my god, I can't believe Demolition is fighting each other. So yeah, I really liked this Royal Rumble, and Axe and Smash wrestling each other at the beginning was really awesome. And this is when Andre the Giant threw Jake the Snake out the ring. Then Jake the Snake went back to the dressing room and got Damien, and threw Damien in the ring. That Andre hopped over the ropes and eliminated himself. Of course, this is when the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan feud, part of the boiling over, one of the points that almost started boiling over between them two, when Hogan accidentally eliminated Macho Man. And of course, the eventual winner, Big John Studd, and he won the Royal Rumble. And then he was like pretty much gone right after. He lasted to it seemed like he lasted from Royal Rumble to like a little after WrestleMania 5, and he was gone. So Vince must was going. Vince McMahon must have been going to do something with John Studd, but I guess he didn't last long enough to see it happen. Then they got other highlights from the other matches: the pose down between Rick Rude and Ultimate Warrior, the battle for the crown, King Haku beating Harley Race, women's champion Rockin' Robin beating Judy Martin, and the Hart Foundation and Hacksaw Jim Duggan beating DeRujos and Dino Bravo in a 2 out of 3 6-man match. Yeah, this is officially when the Mega Powers exploded on Saturday night's main event when it was Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man, the Mega Powers versus Big Boss Man and the King. Like I would never understand this, and I don't know if this is something. Cause I guess the only person that can really talk about this now would be like Bruce Pritchard, or Vince McMahon himself. I would love to know how in the world did they agree to let Macho Man do this angle where he's thrown through the ring and lands on top of Elizabeth. This is like even today, it's like one of the most craziest spots we've ever seen because she was not a wrestler. She was a small woman, not a wrestler. How did she take that? And I can't believe Macho Man agreed to let that happen because they say he was so protective of her. I cannot believe he allowed somebody to say, "Hey, we're going to let somebody throw you out the ring and you land on top of her." Like, I still can't understand how that happened because it looked brutal. It looked brutal then. It looked brutal now. When you see it today, it still looks brutal. Like, how did she take that? How did she survive that? And I know later on in life, before she passed away, she was. I know she had she was taking painkillers and mixing it with alcohol, and I just wondered, did she ever get any pain from this move? Did that mess up her back or something? Because that was a crazy spot, and I just can't believe how Macho Man allowed that to happen. But of course, yeah, Macho Man, Mega Powers versus Akeem and the Boss Man, and Macho Man. I think it's the Boss. No, it was Akeem that threw Macho Man out the ring. He landed on Elizabeth. Hogan went to take him back to the dressing room, and Macho Man got mad and thought that Hogan abandoned the match and did something to Elizabeth while he was at it. And of course, that led to the meltdown. That led to the Mega Powers exploding. Yeah, Macho Man, he had it. It was done with Hogan. He was tired of him. The world famous WWF merchandise catalog. I would have loved to got this hat with the Macho Man shades. I would have loved to have gotten that. The t-shirts. Once again, I would love to get the Macho Man shirt. That was my favorite because Macho Man was my favorite wrestler back in the day. He was the reason why I started watching wrestling was because of the Macho Man Randy Savage. So, uh, Demolition. I like the Demolition shirt. I like the Jesse the Body shirt. I like the Brutus Beefcake shirt. Post a little picture for the WrestleMania Mega Powers Explode. Target the Weasel. The Red Rooster aims at Heenan. Like, I never understood Terry Taylor was a really good wrestler, and they bring him in, they give him this Red Rooster gimmick, and they don't, like, it's like it's like they didn't even let him wrestle like he used to wrestle. It's like he had to learn how to start wrestling again, and just, you in the biggest company in the world, and they just give you that such a goofy gimmick. And I think that's got to be like the worst gimmick ever because I don't think he ever recovered from that, and I don't think there's ever been a gimmick where nobody ever recovered from it. So yeah, but Bobby Heenan was managed the Red Rooster, but then he was treating the Red Rooster bad, so the Red Rooster finally turned on Bobby Heenan. So then Bobby Heenan brought in the Brooklyn Brawler, Steve Lombardi, to take care of the Red Rooster. I just think Terry Taylor was one time wrestling Ric Flair in main events of matches. Now he's stuck feuding with the Brooklyn Brawler. Like that's crazy. Like I don't know if they just did not like that guy, the creative. I guess Vince did not like him. I don't know, but that's a fall from feuding with Ric Flair to the Brooklyn Brawler. Okay, you got the WWF ice cream bars. I'll be the Ultimate Champion. Ravishing Rick Rude vows to defeat the Ultimate Warrior. You know, this is the match they were hype going into WrestleMania 5. Ultimate Warrior vs. Rick Rude for the Intercontinental Championship. And I thought Warrior was going to win. I did not think Rick Rude would win that match, but he pulled it out. Because Ultimate Warrior was on a roll before Rick Rude stopped him. Fuji's Promise. Warlord and Barbarian will be champions at WrestleMania 5. Well, I never really liked Powers of Pain anyway, because going back to them days when they were in the NWA, and they had that feud with the Road Warriors. Cause like Road Warriors was my favorite team ever, and you know I was still thinking about that bench press competition when the Powers of Pain beat up the Road Warriors. So when they came to WWF, they ran. It was like from a fan who looked at it as they ran away. The Powers of Pain ran away from the Road Warriors and the NWA to come to the WWF. So I was never a fan of them. So I just automatically. So when they feuded with Demolition, I was just always pushing for Demolition, always pulling for Demolition. But it was crazy because Mr. Fuji he managed Demolition, and they were the champions. But he turned on Demolition to join with the Powers of Pain, so he left the champions to join the number one contenders. So that was kind of weird. And he never won. He never got the titles back because Demolition always defeated the Powers of Pain. A giant problem. Jake must plan a strategy to deal with Andre the Giant. Yeah, this was a crazy feud because I just remember on that Saturday night's main event. I think it was I can't remember I can't remember what it was, but I just know Jake had the snake and he was showing it to Andre, and Andre started grabbing his heart, and I thought that dude really had a heart attack. I was like, that was probably the first time I was really scared in wrestling, because I thought Andre literally had a heart attack. The way he was holding his heart like that, like holy crap, is this man about to die in the ring on national television? Yeah, Andre was definitely afraid of snakes. Private Eye. Heenan and Monsoon encounter the Bushwhackers at Busch Garden. It's amazing that the Bushwhackers could go from these violent sheep herders into these violent sheep herders to these lovable Bushwhackers. It's crazy that WWF could pull that off. I guess this was for WWF prime time, I guess. WWF Lowdown. Talk about Mr. Perfect and Kurt Hennig wrestling at the NAPTA convention back in the day. I mean, at that time, but that's something that's not around anymore. Talk about Rockin' Robin and her little brawl with Sensational Sherry. Rockin' Robin was the champion. She beat Sherry for the title. Got a picture of the Blue Blazer, Dangerous Danny Davis, and also Sam Houston, who happens to be the brother of Rockin' Robin, who happened to be the brother and sister of Jake the Snake Roberts, who happened to be the father of that horrible person. What's that guy? Grizzly Smith, horrible person. Wrestler's Rebuttal, why I don't need the Weasel, why the Red Rooster's talking about how he doesn't need Bobby Heenan anymore. And I just looked at, I just so disgusted because at the time I didn't know that much. When I'm watching this stuff in real time, I didn't see that much of Terry Taylor. I think the first time I saw Terry Taylor was in World Class, so I didn't see none of his UWF stuff, or his Mid South stuff. And so when he became the Rooster, I didn't care because I really didn't care that much about him. But when you go back and look at his stuff, and look at his Mid South stuff, and even when he was in WCW for a while, the NWA for a while, that guy was so good. And it just he came to WWF, his style just completely, I don't know, he was just nowhere near the level. And even though he came back as, Terry Taylor and the Tailor Made Man, that's when I became a real fan of him, and those in WCW. But it's just like, man, what he could have became if he just maybe had either stayed in World Class or went back to NWA instead of going to the WWF. But he made a lot of money, and I'm pretty sure he's everybody know the Red Rooster, so he made a big deal of himself. He made a name for himself. But just what a horrible character. Caught in the Act, Demolition playing the WWF, that video game, the VCR WrestleMania game. And an advertisement for WWF Spotlight, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And of course, another ad for WrestleMania 5, the Mega Powers Explode. I guess it's the program, souvenir program. This has been a review of the April 1989 issue of WWF Magazine. Thanks for watching.